Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Megalith Yugioh deck profile for July 2021. I've been wanting to update the Megalith deck for a couple months now. We've gotten new support for the deck ever since the release of Ignition Assault in the form of support in the Eternity Code and Rise of the Duelist booster set. It's a really awesome deck that focuses on ritual summoning out all these different Megalith monsters by tributing other Megalith cards from your hand or field, and then summoning out those monsters. No need for any spell cards to summon them out, but you get benefits from additional searches for whether it be monsters, spells, and with the additional support, just easy special summon for all the different Megalith monsters we run in the deck. So pretty awesome deck just for the powerhouse that you can reach with all these different cards on the field. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the monsters, we are running 3 Megalith Ophiel. The Megalith monsters all share in the card effect. You can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card. If this card is ritual summoned, you can add 1 Megalith monster from your deck to your hand, except for Megalith Ophiel. And during your main phase, you can activate this effect to ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card, on your field, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster. You can only use this effect of Ophiel once per turn. So they all share the ritual summon option by tributing monsters from your hand or field to summon this card. So with this, you can have the summon of your Megalith monsters without having to use a spell, saving you a card in your hand to use. But Ophiel is a 3 of in the deck just for the fact that you can search out more monsters, being a Megalith monster, to add to your hand and reuse for more and more plays, setting up more and more in the graveyard for you to use, and then just getting out bigger and bigger monsters. For the spell and trap card search, I run 3 Megalith Hack with this one, or Hagith, I believe is how you pronounce it. It is basically Ophiel with the tribute option, just with different attack and defense stats, but also giving you the option of adding a Megalith spell or trap instead of the monster to your hand. So it's a level 4 as well, so you can basically go for the play when you ritual summon this effect to ritual summon 1 ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field, including this card, to summon out another one. So they can both work with one another, being the exact level needed for summoning out the other card, and then getting the additional search depending on what you need, whether it be a trap or a monster. You go with Hagith for the spell and trap, or your Ophiel for the monsters. It's all up to the situation or the play you want to go for. For one of the newest Megalith ritual monsters we have for the deck, I run 3 Megalith Full with this card. You can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card, and also when it's ritual summon, you can target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard. This card's level becomes the level of that target, then add that target to your hand. So whether you have Hagith or your Ophiel in the graveyard, you can just add these cards back to your hand to reuse, while also making your full the level of those cards, meaning that you can then summon out those monsters for the additional tribute of your other Megalith monsters on the field. For some of the higher level Megalith monsters, I also run 2 Megalith Auratron with this one. You can ritual summon it with a Megalith card, and during the main phase, quick effect, you can discard this card to ritual summon 1 Megalith ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose levels total equal or exceed its level. And when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control, you can place 1 ritual monster from your graveyard on the bottom of the deck. And if you do, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy it. So with the more ritual monsters you set up in your graveyard using your Megalith monsters, you can use Auratron to then set up more plays against your opponent for stopping. So the more ritual, the more you can use to recycle these cards and stop your opponent for those plays. And it is a level 8 Megalith monster, so as long as you have the, let's say, equaled out level by targeting the graveyard with full and adding it back to your hand, or even just the 2 level 4 Megalith monsters can be used to summon this card out and also set up your ritual monsters in the graveyard. And I also run 1 Megalith Bethor and 1 Megalith Phaleg, with these both having additional options, with Phaleg being able to have the option of 300 attack and defense for each ritual monster in your graveyard. So this is the one that powers up your rituals on the field, while your Bethor being able to target cards your opponent controls up to the number of rituals with different names in your graveyard and destroy them by having both the destruction and powerhouse options. I only run 1 of each though. They're searchable with other cards we run in the deck. So, and they also take more of a setup than some of our other ones. Auratron more for the fact that it stops our opponent's plays, is why we're running 2 of this card. But once again, search power, and you really only need the 1-ofs for both of these for the additional setup, and the fact that with Megalith Full, they can be recycled back to our hand quite easily. For some of the more generic ritual support, I'm also running 3 Senju of the Thousand Hands. You can run Manju if you want, but the fact that we don't run any ritual spells, if you're going for more of a budget option, Senju is fine since this card just searches out Ritual Monster, which is what we're running in the deck, being able to have access to any of the ritual monsters you may need for your plays. For the additional ritual support, I am running the Incantation Engine, so 2 Incantation Candle and 2 Incantation Talismandra, with both of these cards giving you options just for special summoning resources on the field for you to use for your plays. You have the option of Ritual Summon by Tributing Monsters, so even if you just have these cards out, they can be used for the ritual monsters reaching the additional levels just using 2 of these cards and just needing to reveal a ritual monster or ritual spell, which you do have the 1 spell with Candle to make use of, which I'll get to in just a bit of which spell we are running. And for additional incantation support, I also run 2 Pencil Plume and the 1 Bookstone. More graveyard setup with both of these cards. Lower numbers for them as well, but also just being able to have the option for the special summon and the fact that we run 2 Pencil Plume because we do run more ritual monsters in the deck than spells. With the special summon being able to target a ritual monster in our graveyard, that is the best recycle power. So if you wanted to take out Bookstone, you could put potentially 3 Pencil Plume instead, since you could just countlessly recycle more and more ritual monsters in our graveyard back to your hand for you to reuse. And lastly, for the incantation monsters, I also run 3 Incantation Chalice Slime. This one just easily special summons the incantations onto the field. You can ritual summon this card with Incantation Inception, which we do run, but mostly you can reveal this card in your hand, discard 1 card. If you special summon 1 incantation monster from your deck, and also during the end phase, you lose 2,500 life points if you do not special summon a ritual monster the turn after this effect resolved, which most of the time you will, and most of the time you can special summon out a incantation onto the field that can benefit from basically giving you a card on the field, being able to add either a monster back from your graveyard to your hand or a monster from the deck, depending on which one you special summoned out with Chalice Slime, or even just having the option to use this card for the tribute of some of your bigger incantation monsters also. And that is it for the monsters. When I move on to the spells, the newest spell from Eternity Code is Megalith Unformed. It's a quick play spell. You activate one of these effects. All monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack for each ritual on the field until the end of this turn. Or ritual summon 1 Megalith ritual monster from your deck in defense position by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total level equal the exact twice its level. So with this card, you have the option of going for your Megalith Full, being a level 2 monster. Since this card specifies by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal exactly twice its level. So you have the option to tribute out the level 4 going into the level 2, and that is the play you want to go for, because then you can just use Full to recycle those other Megalith cards back to your hand while adjusting its level as well. I also run 1 Megalith Portal. You only really need the 1 because this card can be searched out thanks to Megalith Hagith, and also the same goes for Unformed, being a Megalith spell that you can search and add to your hand. With Megalith Portal being the field spell, the first time each ritual summon monster would be destroyed by battle each turn. It is not. And if a Megalith monster is special summoned except during the damage step, you can target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard and add to your hand. So just activating this card early on means that you can recycle your resources back to your hand with all the different Megalith monsters we are running. For more of the generic ritual support, I also run 3 Preparation to Rites. You add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand. So with this, you can search for, aside from the level 8s, the good majority of the first Megalith monsters, whatever one you need for your play, whether you need to search out a monster, a spell for the tribute, you can rely on 3 Preparation to Rites for easy search, and the fact that it is not a once per turn, if you open up multiples, more and more rituals to your hand. I also run 2 extra Foolish Burial. This is for the Herald of the Arclight play, just more search. You pay half your life points, which the only thing you have to risk with this card is if you don't summon something after Chalice Slime, which most of the time this is a ritual deck, so you can easily do that. But being able to have just the additional search for a specific card from our deck makes it all the better, because when you send Arclight, you're able to get that additional search by, if it's sent to the graveyard, adding a ritual monster or a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which the 1 ritual spell for the one-ofs of the spells we're running can be the Incantation Inception, used to summon out Chalice Slime, and making so we have plenty of incantation monsters to run, just another boss monster you could potentially summon out onto the field. For the rest of the one-ofs, I run 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and 1 Call by the Grave. Harpy Feather Duster just to clear opponent's back row, and then our incantation monsters can handle the good majority of the other cards, and Call by the Grave is pretty self-explanatory, just being able to stop our opponent's graveyard plays. And then as for the traps, the only trap I run in the deck is the 2 Megalith promotion. You can target 1 level 4 or lower monster you control. Its level becomes double its original level until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Megalith promotion once per turn. So you don't even have to target a Megalith monster with this card. It just has to be a level 4 or lower monster you control. So you can even target Senju with this card, making it a level 8, and then meeting the requirements for your higher level Megalith monsters on the field with just 1 monster. And this trap is searchable as well with Yugioh, so you really only need that setup. I run 2 of this card because it's always good to have this resource available. Your opponent might try to destroy it to disrupt your plays, so being able to have 2 to rely on means you can just search out the other card and add it and activate it. But that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 Herald of the Arclight. This is just, like I said, with the extra Foolish Burial, the search you want to rely on for many of your plays. I run 2, so you have the 2 copies of the spell as well. But if you want to go for more of a destruction option with those cards, I also run the 2 Elder Entity Knits, being the option for destruction. Like I said, if you don't have the or need the search for the Arclight, you have both options available to you with these cards. For the Xyz monsters, I run 1 Gallic Granite. These are rock monsters, so an easy search to your hand depending on what Megalith you need, and plenty of level 4 monsters to overlay into this card. I also run 1 Gaga Cowboy and 1 Tornado Dragon, just generic rank 4s that you can easily go into if you need more of those plays instead of the ones that the Megalith monsters provide if you aren't able to get into your boss monsters. For the Link monsters, I run 1 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Boral Sword Dragon, and 1 Boral Load Dragon to finish off the Link monsters. Good resources to go into, but most of the time I just rely on the Megalith plays when I can go into them. As for the go-to plays, it really all comes down to the tributes, but still one of my favorite is with the new Megalith Unformed and 1 of our level 4 monsters. Being able to activate this card, tributing out the Yugioh for the play of summoning out our Megalith Fool. So just with these 2 cards, we were given the requirement of summoning out having twice the monster on the field, and then with this we can activate Fool's effect. Since it was summoned properly as a ritual summon, you can target the Megalith in the graveyard. Its level becomes that card's level, adding it back to your hand, and then being able to tribute it out to summon out the proper card can then give us the additional search depending on what spell we may need for the rest of the Megalith setup. This can also work for some of the other monsters. If you activate this and you have one of the higher level Megalith monsters in your hand, you can then summon out the other Megalith monster onto the field, just giving you more of the search options. And the fact that Fool can easily set up more ritual monsters, it's player preference, and also depending on the resource you may have in your hand also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, this is definitely an interesting deck. If you're a fan of ritual summoning, it's definitely one to look into for a bunch of different fascinating plays with all the different tribute ritual summons. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.